Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, okay. New. Okay, Blake, character short for Volume 5 is finally out. I'm so excited. Okay, let's get ready to watch it. Let's get ready to watch it, guys. Okay, go.
You have failed me for the last time.
Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, Jake of the OneManBand is back again. Oh, and where to start with this? With RWBY Volume 5 right around the corner, Rooster Teeth is trying its damnedest to get people excited for the new volume. I would say even more so since Volume 4 just seemed to be panned by everybody. And so, when we heard that 3 new character shorts / trailers were gonna be coming out for Volume 5, we were all excited. And, well, shortly thereafter, we got the Weiss character short. Everyone loved it. It had awesome animation, an awesome fight scene, an amazing song, and gave us a little bit more to think about when it came to the Weiss character. And so then we bided our time. We waited and waited, longing to see the next inevitable trailer. The Blake character short. And when it finally popped up a few days ago, everyone went crazy. Everyone wanted to see it. Everyone wanted to see what was going to be going on with Blake, especially since she's such a controversial character at this point in time. And, well, I think they just messed up. So before we get to the nitty-gritty about this character short, let's break down what actually happens in this character short. And I'm going to break it down into 2 sections. One is the chase, and the other part is the backstory. So, how does the chase begin? It begins with, we see that Blake is still in Menagerie, which I'm not exactly happy about, because I thought that she would be heading to Mistral by now, but maybe it'll work out. But she's still currently in Menagerie, working her way through a marketplace. And we see that she stops to look at some flowers. Missed opportunity, guys. You could have had her looking at fish. I would have at least laughed then. But no, you have to have her look at flowers. And then, you know, it flashes back to her talking to Ilia. But we're gonna talk about the flashbacks in the second part. So what we see here is that Blake and Sun are working together, tracking down agents of the White Fang using the information they gathered from Ilia's scroll at the end of the previous volume. So, they're able to identify one of these White Fang agents as he's at the marketplace buying some weaponry. And so they approach him, and Blake draws her sword. Now, to be honest, I believe what they were going for here, what Rooster Teeth, what Team RWBY was doing here, is that they wanted to give us at least a little bit of action. They wanted to give us something that we were on our seats about, that we wanted to look at, because it was fast and energetic and stuff was happening. So they wanted to incorporate a chase scene. But I think the chase scene, in a story point of view, was a very stupid thing to do. Here's Blake approaching a agent of the White Fang, who we see is armed. She approaches him in a crowded marketplace, drawing her sword, and then causes a scene where he is then firing at them. I mean, innocence can get in the way, people can get hurt, and, you know, Blake doesn't want that. We know Blake doesn't want people to get hurt. I think And Blake, for the most part, in previous volumes, wasn't one to just go out in the open and you know, punch somebody in the face. She was always the cautious one, the stealthy one, the one that went undercover. Why couldn't it have been that she follows him, trails him until he's alone, and then her and Sun spring the trap? Why did she have to confront him in a crowded marketplace when she knew that things could go sour very quickly? To be honest, I think it was uncharacteristic of Blake, but I know what RWBY was going for. They wanted some action to be incorporated into the shot. And that does happen. The White Fang agent sees that he's about to get jumped. He pulls his weapon and starts firing at them, and the chase begins. Blake and Sun proceed to chase this guy, and he does his best to thwart their attempts. He cuts a cart so that it's a runaway cart. Sun uses his semblance to stop it, and Blake continues the chase alone. And when she finally catches up to him, finally gets to the point where she can capture him, she is stopped by Ilia. And Ilia, instead of attacking Blake, hurting her, wounding her, anything like that, she simply causes a distraction, allowing herself and the White Fang agent to get away. When Sun approaches Blake asking what happened, she simply states, he got away. And that's it. And that's pretty much where this part ends. Now, I know I kind of glossed over the rest of that real fast, but really, nothing real interesting happens until the end. But there are some things I want to bring up. We have seen Blake has always been fast. Not RWBY level fast, but at least fast, agile, and real reflexive. She has really good reflexes. She's a cat. But she just seems so slow in this character short. Whatever happened to the Blake during Volume 3, during Volume 2, who is zipping around, cutting down White Fang grunts super easily? Whatever happened to that Blake? Why do we now have a Blake who has trouble keeping up with one guy? Unless this guy was super powered, which didn't look like he was, he just looked like an average Joe, why couldn't she catch him? Why couldn't she, like, incorporate some of her speed, maybe some of her shadow clones, or at least got a better vantage point by going up on a rooftop following him that way? Isn't this the same Blake who was able to outrun a mech suit in Volume 2? I mean, once again, Team RWBY wanted to create a chase scene, but I just don't think it was consistent with the feats that we have seen Blake accomplish in the past. Now, with the appearance of Ilia at the end, and with what we see of their interaction, with Blake stopping the chase, Ilia not attacking Blake but simply causing a distraction in order to get away, shows us that these two at least have some form of respect left for one another. They still, it's like they're to the point where it's like they know they're on opposing forces, but they don't want to fight each other because they have a past together, which we're going to talk about with the backstory part. But the thing is that we already knew that they had that from the end of Volume 4 when they didn't fight each other. And sure, they fought each other, but once Blake saw that, oh, Ilia, it's Ilia, I'm not going to fight you anymore, you know. But I don't know, it just felt real lackluster that there wasn't even any interaction between them, especially even though they had fought each other in the previous volume. Why couldn't it have been, oh, Blake actually captures the guy, and, you know, and then Ilia drops in, fights Blake off for a little bit, allowing the agent to get away, and then Ilia creates a distraction for herself to get away. Why couldn't there have been that? I can tell that RWBY is trying to make Ilia sympathetic. They're trying to make her a sympathetic character, which I'm going to talk about more when we talk about the whole backstory part of this. But to be honest, why are they making Ilia a sympathetic character? Why are they putting more emphasis on Ilia than Blake? Blake, it's the Blake character short! Make Blake the focus! But what they do accomplish here is that they show that Ilia is going to be the foil to Blake in Volume 5. That's what this character short is showing. That every time Blake is going to try to do something, Ilia is going to be the opposing force working against her. But, to be honest, I find this like a cop-out. Why did we have to introduce a new character to be this role when we already have a character that could be that role? Adam. Adam could easily be the foil to Blake's character. Why did we have to bring in a mini Adam in Ilia to do that? Is it because they don't want to use Adam yet? They don't want to use the big boss yet, so they bring in a mini boss to distract our hero? It just feels wrong. It really does. But I've probably talked about Ilia way too much to not talk about her backstory and the other part of this character short. So, the second part of this character short is the flashback to when Blake was still a member of the White Fang. This is before Volume 1. The flashback is before Volume 1. And she's talking to Ilia about, Ilia, why did you join the White Fang? And to be honest, she never actually answers the question. She then goes on about her whole backstory. She does the she does the RPG thing where it's like, so, why did you take this job? Well, when I was a young lad. It's like, no, I don't want to hear that. Why did you take this job? But so she asks Ilia why she joined the White Fang, and Ilia goes on to talk about how her and her parents, they lived up in Atlas, and since a big part is that Blake is wondering why she joined the White Fang when she can pass as human. Ilia can pass as human. A freckled human, but a human nonetheless. And so Ilia goes on to talk about how her parents wanted a better life for her. So, doing whatever they could, they got Ilia into a prestigious educational facility, an academy. Not a huntsman academy, mind you, but just probably like a private school. And Ilia, but it was only for humans. So, we know the people up in Atlas are assholes besides Weiss and Ironwood. And Flint and Neon and a few others. But the majority of people up in Atlas are assholes. Racist assholes. So, as her parents slaved away working as Faunus laborers, their daughter, who could pass as human, was going to a prestigious human academy. Doing all this stuff because they didn't want their daughter to live the life that they were living. And so they set up some rules, don't bring any friends home, don't tell anyone you're a Faunus, don't change colors, all that stuff. Stay human, because that's how you're going to get ahead in life. So, at this prestigious academy, Ilia made friends. And, these friends, although they talked down about, Faunus and they did all that stuff, what stupid teenage girls do, she went along with it because, she had to keep up that persona. She had to keep up the act that she was human. Until the day that there was an explosion and a collapse at the dust mining facility. And it is assumed that Ilia's parents were killed. And when news of this came to the school, Ilia's friends snickered. They somewhat laughed at the notion of Faunus dying. Okay, first off, it's terrible to laugh at any death. It's terrible to do that about any death. It's a terrible thing. These girls are terrible people. And then, when that happened, Ilia was so overcome with emotion that she changed colors. To reflect her emotion, she turned blue because she was sad. Because of the concept of her parents potentially being dead. And upon seeing that Ilia had changed color, her friends were frightened by this. They were scared that there was a Faunus in their presence. Somebody who they thought they knew turned out to be a Faunus. And not even the fact that she was a Faunus, she changed color. Anyone would be freaking out and scared at that point. And you see, here's the real kicker that really got me. when she says that she changed color and that her friends were scared, Blake then replies to her that, I'm sorry that happened to you. Ilia then replies, don't be. I knocked out their teeth. What? Alrighty, I know I'm gonna be getting into deep, dark water, deep, dark, hot water with this, but Ilia stating that shows that she acts upon her emotions. Her emotions are what drive her. And this is what's probably going to lead her into getting into a lot of trouble at some point. So, she was saddened by the loss of her parents. And because of that, her skin changed. Her supposed friends were frightened by this. Ilia didn't punch out these girls' teeth because they snickered. That may have been what led up to it, but by the way she states what she did and how she did it, in my point of view, it's they snickered, she got sad, her skin changed color, her friends got scared, Ilia saw that they were scared, saw that she had power over them, that they were frightened by her. She then acted upon that and hit them. Hard enough to knock some teeth out. That is not the thing to do. Okay, what are we going for here? The faunus have been made out by a lot of people, a lot of humans, as being monsters, animals, criminals, all around bad people. So, how is Ilia's actions here helping mend faunus relations with humans? So, we see that a faunus takes advantage of a situation where she has power over people by hurting them. I mean, I understand there's a point in life where turning the other cheek can't be done anymore. You can't just not be passive anymore. You have to do something about it. That was not the time, though. That was not the time. But this shows us that she acts upon emotion. And like I said, it's probably going to get her into a lot of trouble in the future. Now, another thing I want to bring up is the whole concept that Ilia can pass as human. We're made privy of this information in this character short. Back in Volume 4, when she attacks Sun, she does so because he states that she doesn't even look like a faunus. I believe that when he said that, this triggered emotions in her and memories that made her very mad. We even saw her skin change red and yellow, indicating anger. So when she heard, this guy doesn't think I'm a faunus, I'm gonna freaking kill him, and then she attacks him. So once again, that's showing that she acts upon emotion. Emotion is really big with her. And see, with this whole backstory of Ilia, we get to see her backstory, we get to see a lot about her character, why she is doing what she does. But she never really explains why she joined the White Fang. I mean, we can kind of assume she joined the White Fang because humans are assholes, I guess? But with the combination of these two stories, one word comes to mind when I watched it. Boring. Now, alone, these stories could have been quite amazing if we centered on just Ilia's backstory, which probably shouldn't be done in a Blake character short, but even if we just concentrated on it, like in an episode, it would have been a pretty good story. Or if we just concentrated on the chase scene, then that would have shown off, Blake's intentions that she's going to be taking in Volume 5, that she's going to be fighting the White Fang, taking the fight to them. We could have seen that. But instead, they decided to muddy the waters with bringing in two stories and sort of stapling and supergluing them together to try to give us something with a lot of information. But you see, a lot of this information seems to be important, especially to Ilia's character, which is something you don't want to put in a character short / trailer that can be skipped. Just because something says character short doesn't mean that it's absolutely essential to the story. And even if it is, if you're putting something in a character short that's essential to the story, don't put it in a character short, put it in the actual show. So all in all, this character short felt like it should have been part of an episode rather than a character short. Now, what this character short did do right. Okay, what it did do right is it gave us the concept and the idea of what Blake is going to be doing in Volume 5. That she's going to be taking the fight to the White Fang, she's going to be actively looking for their members, trying to take them down, and that Ilia is going to be her foil in Volume 5. That's what we learned from this character short, which, in broad terms, it did accomplish its goal on showing us what's going to be going on with the said character in the character short. So it did accomplish that. I just think it did it in a very poor way. And then it could have been done a lot better. We know that Blake is taking the fight to the White Fang to try to deconstruct the violent White Fang and bring back the peaceful White Fang of old. So how could they have made this better? Now, you could have kept the chase scene, cut out all the Ilia backstory, and instead incorporate some other flashbacks. I want to read to you guys the description, the official description of the character short on YouTube right now. So after it says that it's going to be premiering and you can start your free trial at roosterteeth.com, it states, "The White Fang was once a peaceful organization fighting for the true equality for the faunus. Over the years, however, many members began to favor violent and extreme tactics in order to demand respect from the humans of Remnant. Through Blake Belladonna eventually decided to leave the White Fang and its growing acts of terror, not all her friends made the same decision." Now, how could we incorporate a better story into this character short while still keeping true to the description? Here's what we could have done. Kept the chase scene, cut out the Ilia stuff, except at the very end, and instead incorporate other flashbacks where Blake is talking to both Gira, her father, and Adam. Both of them represent the two different White Fang. Gira represents the peaceful White Fang, the White Fang that was before. It could be when she was really young. Maybe, you know, when she was right before she was about to, you know, run away from her family. Gira is trying to explain to her, look, the White Fang isn't about violence. It's about finding the standing ground for both faunus and humans. You know, he could be explaining that. And then we could have her talking to Adam as he's talking about how we have to be, you know, violent and use acts of terror so the humans will fear us, because then they'll respect us. We get these dual natures of the White Fang, and at the center of it all is Blake, the paragon that has seen both sides, has seen the flaws in both sides, and wants to try to make things better. This would have showed us that the dynamic with Blake is so much deeper than what it actually is. Because we know that she's seen both sides. And with these flashbacks centered around this whole chase scene, we can see that maybe she feels conflicted. She isn't exactly sure what she needs to do. All she knows is that what the White Fang doing right now with the terroristic things is bad, and she needs to stop it. And with the dual natures of the White Fang, it would go a lot better with what the description tells. And then at the very end, when Ilia comes in, saves the White Fang agent from Blake, and then retreats, we then see that Gira has Blake back on his side with the peaceful White Fang, and Adam has Ilia, who we know Ilia and Blake were friends at one point. And then later on in the volume, we could have had that Ilia backstory. That way we could have saw that these two were really good friends back in the day. And now both of them are sort of the not so much the paragons of their respected White Fang allegiances, but they are both strong advocates for what they believe in. Blake wants it to be a peaceful organization. Ilia wants it to be a violent organization. And it's these two that are going to be fighting each other. That would have given us a lot more information about Blake, still would have given us good information on Ilia, and still would have accomplished everything that a character short would need to. At the end of the day, this isn't a good Blake character short. It is a mediocre Ilia character short. They wanted us to feel for Ilia. They wanted us to see Ilia as a sympathetic character, but all I got out of this is that she stole Blake's thunder when Blake needed some thunder to get back into the good graces with a lot of RWBY fans. If the Blake trailer was what I described and what I wanted, I would have liked Blake's a lot more. I would have thought, okay, so she's conflicted, she's trying to do her best. I'm excited to see what Blake is going to be doing. But with this character short, all I feel is that Blake has just been pushed to the side. Favored, now her story's gonna be dominated by Ilia, which I didn't want. I know Blake has got a lot of character growth and, you know, story centricity in the previous volumes, but I want her to be accomplished as a character. This does not get me excited to see Blake's story in Volume 5. All this does is make me think that Blake's story in Volume 5 is going to be just broken up, estranged, and trying to tell way too much with not enough time. Which, to me, sounds a lot like Volume 4. Last character short. Last chance. You know, because I really want Volume 5 to be good, and if anyone needs a good character short, it's Yang. So please, Rooster Teeth, please make this a good one. Please make us excited for Volume 5. That's all we ask for.